An academician at heart, she has designed multiple tools for social change and sustainable transformation, one of which we're going to see today. Yeah. Karon was awarded the most inspiring social enterprise at the hands of the late Dr. C.K. Prahlad and was selected to the top 30 for the Lufthansa Pioneers of Tomorrow TV series. She was nominated as a COVID Shero by Twitter India and recognized for her work during the pandemic by multiple organizations. Karon was recently featured in the book She Is 75 Women in STEAM, STEAM, that was released on the occasion of 75 years of India's independence by the Office of the Principal Scientific Officer to the Government of India. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Karon Shaiva.
Something came on my way there. Okay. Thank you very much, Naresh. You often say, oh, that is a very generous introduction and all of that, but I think it was peppered with a lot of ungenerous things as well. So thanks a lot, Naresh. And yes, 11 years, yeah, 11 years of us saying, it's impossible. It's just too much for us to do this. And maybe we should rethink it as to whether we should really go through this and do. But every year we've of course come back and done it. And when you do something repeatedly, you do get certain insights, you get certain learning. Of course, my team will tell you, and Naresh has already said that sometimes we don't learn, right? We still continue, we still believe in something and continue doing that. But essentially, I think every time you do something and iterate, you definitely learn something. The patterns, the trends that happen is all part of what we call as systems thinking. And that has been the core of what Idobro has done for right when we started 14 years ago. In fact, Idobro itself is a model on systems thinking. Yeah, it is a word we coined, it doesn't exist. It's a word that we made up based on the whole model. And I would encourage you to know more about it when we release the Koro toolkit. And that's the reason is because we always believed that if we have to solve the problems of the world in whichever way we can, obviously the problems are too big for any one actor, any one group of people to solve the problems. But whatever's in your possible control, if you want to really, really contribute in a large way at scale, you have to have a systems thinking approach. Unfortunately, people talk of systemic issues all the time, but very few are willing to invest the time and effort it takes to build an ecosystem, leave alone putting in money into that. It is always someone else who builds an ecosystem. Today, the challenge in front of each one of us is to look at our own ecosystems, our circles of influence, our circles of concern, and ask ourselves, how are we going to build an ecosystem of impact around ourselves? That's what we have been doing. And that's the beginning of value co-creation, because none of us can, again, exist alone either, right? We can't solve all the problems alone, nor can we exist alone. So if we are to really build that ecosystem and coexist with others, then you necessarily have to co-create. And when you co-create with a value-based approach, values that you will hear a lot more about right now, I believe you create the best shared value possible for yourself first, because you create a better world for yourself. And hopefully a greener planet, not just for you, but for the world around you and the generations to come. What better shared value than that can we possibly make? With that, I want to welcome each one of you again to yet another edition of the Rise World Summit. And yes, hopefully next year too, you will be there in spite of everything we say. Thank you very much and welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Karon. despite all the uncharitable words that we say, I just want to say that all of us truly are in awe of you. You are an inspiration. And I think if RISE has grown from strength to strength over the last 11 years, it has been because you believed in this and you drove it and you drove us in the process. So thank you so much for that. Let's give her a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. As is tradition, and tradition is big for us in RISE, we begin today's session, and in fact, the entire RISE Summit, by the lighting of the lamp. And for this, I would like to invite a few of our dignitaries out here on stage to kindly do the honors. May I have the Idobro team ready, please, with the... Okay. May I first invite Mr. Sven Oistberg. We have, I believe we have Ashu Thakur with us from the core committee. You have Merin John. Is Mansi Gamre. Mansi Gamre from the Idobro team. Do we have Mansi? Yeah. If you could just have a... Okay. Dr. Walter Vieira, please, of course, from our board, representative for board. We have Yusuf Kabir from UNICEF. Can we please have Yusuf on stage again? Mr. Anand Pednekar, our expert and our partner. Karon, of course, we need you on stage. And we have Mr. Sarabjit Sahota. Has he come in? Not yet. Okay. And so we have Merin John and Mansi Gamre who can join us if they're around. No? So these are people who have actually stood with us. They represent all the stakeholders in RISE, our steering council, core committee, our team, the board, partners, experts. So it's great that we started their hands. That's not true.
Wow.
I think that's the fire alarm.
Oh, that's the fire alarm. Oh my gosh.
Okay, we could.
Are we able to do this? Is it?
No, they're switching it off.
Okay. Yes, it's off.
Photograph.
So I just want to kind of say that the idea again here is the system thinking over there. Each person over here is representative of our key stakeholders who are so important for us to do whatever we do. And so that's what we really want to look at. It's okay. That's fine. It's done. Please. Come.
So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Well, like you see, we don't have music out here, so the fire alarm decided to support us a bit. Yeah. So yeah. So on that auspicious note, we officially begun the RISE Summit, and that's not exactly the kind of music I was referring to, but anyways, yeah. So traditionally, year after year, right from year one, the RISE Summit has begun with the unveiling of the RISE values: responsible, inclusive, sustainable, ecosystem friendly. And that's what we're going to do today as well. Now, to introduce the first gentleman who's going to release the R value, the responsible value, I would like to call on stage our board member and truly one of our inspirations, Dr. Walter Vieira, and who will invite Mr. Harish Mehta to release the value responsible. And while Dr. Vieira comes up on stage, it is my pleasure and indeed a privilege to introduce Dr. Vieira himself. Walter Vieira has been described by Philip Kotler, who again is a big supporter of RISE, by the way, the world's guru on marketing, as one of the best speakers on marketing in Asia and perhaps worldwide. He is a certified management consultant and a fellow of the Institute of Management Consultants of India. He's been in the practice of management consultancy since 1975, when he set up the first marketing consultancy company in India. He was awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award for consulting in 2005 and Lifetime Achievement Award for marketing in 2009. He has been the president of the Institute of Management Consultants of India from 1986 to 1991, the founder chairman of the Asia Pacific Conference of Management Consultants, and the first Asian to be elected chairman of the 42-country World Apex Body of Management Consultants, ICMCI, International Council of Management Consulting Institutes. Dr. Vieira has straddled the space between business and academia and shares his vast experience with students and peers to help make this a better world. Dr. Walter Vieira.
Gives me great pleasure to introduce someone I admired and who's a friend of mine as well, Harish Mehta. Difficult to introduce him in 2 minutes, but I'll try my best. Harish Mehta is the founder and executive chairman of Onward Technologies and the first chairman of NASSCOM. He is the author of this national bestseller, The Maverick Effect. The Maverick Effect is the extraordinary story of a band of dreamers who joined hands to transform a nation, that's India, and the perception of India through the creation of NASSCOM, as well as to change the industry body of Indian IT. Harish Mehta had founded, led, grown, and mentored Onward Group right from 1993, when he was the deputy chairman and MD of Onward Novell Software India Private Limited. He was the driving force behind galvanizing the IT industry in India by co-founding NASSCOM. And NASSCOM was started from his office and was formally established in 1988. He's a founder member and the first elected chairman of this NASSCOM, and he was honored by the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, for 25 years of exemplary contribution to Indian IT. A lot more to be said about Mr. Mehta, who also introduced TIE, the Indus Entrepreneurs, a Silicon Valley-based organization. He introduced it in India and was its first president. Many other things he's done. He is a director of Indian Angel Network, the world's largest and most active angel investors group. His former expert advisor to SIDBI for its fund of funds operations, and many other things. He was awarded the CEO of this year in 1994 by NMIMS, Tata HRD Network, and the World HRD Congress. He's an active volunteer of Onward Foundation and Devang Mehta Foundation. This book that he has written recently, 2 years ago, The Maverick Effect, seen everywhere, and has gone on to bookshelves in England and in the United States. And I'm just told that it is going into a translation of Gujarati. So there'll be many more Mehtas, Shahs, and Patels who will join the Maverick Effect. A great pleasure to have Mr. Mehta here and to welcome him and hear his short address to this 11th convention.
So we invite Mr. Mehta to kindly release the R value, the responsible value. Yeah. So.
Thank you, Walter, for your generous introduction. You know, when Walter called me and invited me to come and speak here, I said, how much time do I have? So he said, 5 minutes. I said, I can't speak in 5 minutes. I mean, Then he was very generous and he said, okay, we'll give you 2 extra minutes. So, friends, first of all, thanks, Walter, for inviting me to come and share my views. And I will be talking about how we created value in India using systemic approach, by creating NASCOM. I don't know how many of you know NASCOM. Okay, by and large, all of you know, fair enough. Okay. But let me talk about the value that NASCOM created through the IT industry. Just go back 35 years. India was known as a snake charmer's country, fakir's country. We were bankrupt on foreign exchange. If your children wanted to buy fruits, you would say, let's go to Kashmir. You buy a scooter, and let's say when a student is going to the college and he pays the deposit to buy the scooter would be delivered when he's married and he has 2 children. So that was the environment in the late, you can say, 80s and early 90s. Please stop me, Walter, by the way, time-wise, I may go on beyond the limit. So from that environment, today, India has emerged as a global tech powerhouse. We are the 5th largest economy. And how did it happen? Was it by accident? Was it by luck? And now look at some other values, let's say, which the IT industry has created. Last year, industry earned $250 billion of exports, almost close to what Saudi Arabia earns. The difference is in Saudi Arabia, the money goes in one account, while in India, through hundreds of companies, in the millions of accounts. Our industry has created 5.3 million jobs last year. Now, these 5.3 million jobs are high-paying jobs. That means that for every job, it creates 4 to 5 additional jobs in the society. And if you take a family of 4, we almost support twice the population of UK in the country. If you look at the meritocracy that our industry brought in, today IIT Gardner's son has become a software engineer. Not because he knew someone to get a job, because he knew about the software and technology. He appeared for the test and he got the job. Same meritocracy applied to women. Our industry employs 37% women out of 5.3, almost 2 million women. Now just imagine these women getting high-paying job. When the money that they get, they may not still get the financial freedom, but how they're going to bring up their children, how they're going to communicate and change the society that they're working in. My sense is a silent revolution taking place in the background. If you look at corporate governance, our industry was the first one to come up with a very transparent quarterly financial reports and the annual reports. Now that started building trust in India as a brand, and the FDI money started flowing in. Now, how did this change, let's say, IT industry and NASCOM brought about? So I want to talk about 3 ingredients of that secret sauce of the NASCOM formula. The first one is, and I believe all the RISE values, frankly, are all integrated into whatever I'm saying somewhere or the other. There is a role each one has played, plus all the other characteristics that you described. They're also part of whatever we have been doing. So the first one is, when we started, we formed NASCOM in 1988, first thing we decided was, we will not treat it as a social organization. It's a non-profit, a voluntary organization. But we were very clear, we will behave, all of us who started, we will act as a virtual CEOs of the industry. It was very clear, and we will treat this entity as if it's a corporate body. And all the rules of corporate would apply in terms of dreaming big to controlling cash flow, limit all the various parameters of corporatizing a social organization. So it was a starting point for us in terms of build. And then in that process, how do we build that? So we came up with certain ways of working. So first thing we decided was, we will not give a bribe for any policy change. Now that was the time when we had more than 110 regulations choking the industry. Bureaucrats didn't know what is software. And there are many funny stories in the book I've written about what So what it means, just to give some quick example, I don't have time enough here, eating into other areas. But like, if you export a floppy, sorry, if you export software Word, you download it on a floppy and then you send it. The customs officer would ask, give me the sample of what you have exported. Now, what do you give them? 10,000 lines of code, or you give them there's nothing to be given as such, it's intangible, but he didn't know what it is. So he said, I'm giving it on a floppy. So he'll take the floppy, and the first thing he'll do is staple it on the file. So that was their knowledge about software. But on the other hand, those who were in the industry, we knew, like some of us that worked in USA, Paula knows that, and working in USA versus working in India, there was a 15 times salary difference. So the labor arbitrage benefit was very apparent to us. The outsourcing market was $300 billion. So that was very clear that we were all capable. We knew if we have similar access to computers, software, applications in India, we can do the same work here. Or we can export through having a communication link. But none of that was available. And there's something like 100 plus regulations choking that industry. But we still decided as an organization that for any of this change, first of all, will not give a bribe. Profit was a dirty word. It was a socialistic license raj. Bureaucrats wouldn't trust you. All that was there by the part of the way of working in the Indian environment. And we said, but we will build trust between the policymakers and us. And then number of things we did where we would invite them without any invitation to our meetings and started building trust between the policymakers and us. And then gradually all these regulations were removed. The second ingredient I would like to talk about is democratizing opportunities. We were very clear that it's a huge opportunity out there. We are hardly 50 million, huge scope to grow. So we said, whatever we do, and where all the big companies are part of it, TCS, Infosys, Wipro, they were all part of the decision-making process, that we will create a level playing field in the country. So every policy initiative that we give to the government, like STPI scheme, which we had, so very clear it will be a level playing field where we believe very strongly that if you grow the ecosystem, there is more room for all of us to play, existing players, as well as it will give birth to hundreds of new companies. So that was a very fundamental principle of democratizing opportunities as a given for us to work as an initiative from NASSCOM side. And like that number of initiatives we took over the years, which ended up creating 5.3 million jobs. The third ingredient I would like to talk about is we are very clear that these are tough issues. Indian ecosystem, not an easy thing to work on. And how do you create, let's say, manpower for our industry? Who will work on the infrastructural issues? And we needed, I would say, creative solutions rather than hardcore money-driven solutions. Because we didn't have money, first of all. And even if we had, we wouldn't throw it away. So we were looking for always creative solutions to solve the problems. So we say we must create NASSCOM as an independent, neutral, transparent platform, where all these fierce competitors can come together on a same platform, talk about the industry issues, the creative juices flowing, come up with a solution. And not only that, when the solution is given to the government, everyone will act as a soldier. And outside the NASSCOM platform, they will not criticize. In other associations, what was happening was they will give a proposal. But within a week, another group of industrialists will go and tell the policymaker, no, we don't agree with that. To us, single voice was absolutely critical for the industry, so that policymakers and us can jointly come up with the policies. And it worked like a charm in terms of building that as a collaborative platform. It reached a stage where I end with my two stories. I know my 5 minutes are over. That China wanted to compete with India. And so they appointed foresters as an agency to come up with a master plan, how they can not only beat India, but become and build a massive tech services business. The foresters, when John McCarthy was the CEO of foresters at that time, he told China or Chinese government that you cannot compete with India till you create NASSCOM equivalent association. He said, I have not seen anywhere in the world IBM, Capgemini, Accenture, TCS, Infosys, Wipro, Genpact, all sitting around a table, solving industry issues, keeping India first, with single voice, consensus driven. That's a model which you cannot be, unless you replicate, you cannot compete with that segment. And last story I would like to tell is about 15 years back, I was on my way to attend a TiCon at San Jose. So I took a taxi from San Jose airport, and my taxi driver was a Sardarji. So he asked me, from where are you from? I said, मैं बम्बई से आया हूँ. आप क्या करते हैं? I said, I belong to the software industry. So suddenly he says, आपने हमें इज्जत दिलाई है. So I'm wondering, what have I done to this mid-age Sardar taxi driver to create pride? So I asked him, why do you say so? He says, now any PhD student, any American who travels by taxi, he thinks I'm a PhD student doing part-time taxi driving. So that was the brand our industry built. And it's the place where I live, the minorities live basically. Suddenly my pride as an Indian has gone up. I'm now treated as an equal. So that is the contribution, the value creation that happened because of systemic innovation that we took at NASCOM. And I believe for even all you, or whatever you do, there are hopefully enough lessons to learn from the NASCOM model to replicate. Thank you very much.
I think Mr. Mehta deserves a bigger round of applause, right? I think all of us knew about the yeoman service that NASCOM has done for the IT industry. But I guess much of what he shared today was news to us in terms of the ramifications and the kind of repercussions of just doing something responsibly and taking the right action with the right thoughts in mind. I think amazing the way you shared it. And don't worry about the time. I think you enthralled us all. Thank you so much for that. After the R value, the responsible value, it's time to release the I value, which is the inclusive value. And for that, we have Ms. Isabel Shan Harada, Deputy Representative of UNDP, who will be doing the honors. She's not with us again because of the fog in Delhi and the flights which have gone a little haywire. But we have a message from her. But before that, I would definitely want all of us to know about Isabel, and for which I have the privilege of calling on stage none other than Yusuf Kabir, Water Supply, Sanitation and Hygiene Specialist and Focal Point Climate, Environment and Emergency, UNICEF Office for Mumbai, UNICEF India. He's also a huge partner and a friend of the RISE Summit. He's been there with us for several years. So indeed, it's a pleasure to have him with us. He specializes in rural and urban drinking water supply, sanitation and hygiene, waste management, environment, climate change adaptations, disaster management, and sustainable development. A Commonwealth and Sons scholar, working in the sector for the last 24 years. He has been with UNICEF India since 2007. He's the author of 2 international books and 10 journals, papers, runs a blog on sanitation in the name of Wash Garage, Safai Wala. I mean, you look at him and you wonder how he's managed to do all of this at such a young age. But Yusuf, it's amazing to have you with us. Please come up and do the honors and introduce Isabel Shan Harada. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, and sorry for my attire because Karon can put anyone on the spot. So I was in a more like a Goa mood with my attire, but suddenly Karon told me that I have to introduce her. Her energy is always infectious. Yeah. So yeah, Isabel Harada, who is based out of from Switzerland, has worked for 20 years in international development at the country, regional, and headquarter levels in different regions in conflict, post-conflict, low and middle-income country context. Prior to taking her present assignment in India, she served as Deputy Resident Representative of UNDP Burkina Faso and as Governance and Peace-Building Team Leader at UNDP Regional Hub for Europe and Central Asia in Istanbul, Turkey. Isabel has programmatic and policy experience in a number of thematic areas, including gender equality, socioeconomic development, resilience and livelihood, energy and environment, governance, peace building, and rule of law. Before joining UNDP in 2009, Isabel served as assistant to the UN Special Rapporteur on torture. And this is very interesting thing as human rights officer for the UN peacekeeping operation in Burundi, and as a regional coordinator for Sub-Saharan Africa with the Swiss Federal Office for Migration. Isabel holds 2 master degrees, human rights and democratization from Sweden, and also in international relations from Switzerland, and speaks in 4 languages: German, English, French, and Spanish. Yeah, thank you, Isabel. Over to you in a climate change world.
Yeah, I'd like Yusuf to kindly represent Isabel and release the I value. May I have Najima support him? Yusuf, just a second. He's Thank you, Yusuf, and may we have the message from Isabel, please? Thanks, Yusuf.
It is my pleasure to join you at the inauguration of the RISE 2024 Summit. The Sustainable Development Goals underscore the importance of inclusion to create a better future and leave no one behind. With just 7 years left to achieve the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, we need meaningful partnerships to address inequalities and empower marginalized groups. The SDGs call on all stakeholders, including governments, private sector, development institutions, civil society, and individuals to work towards these objectives. The RISE Summit provides us with an opportunity to discuss and share ideas and solutions and take collective action to achieve the SDGs. I congratulate the organizers and partners for convening yet another exciting edition of this summit. For RISE 2024, I'm pleased to launch the RISE value of inclusion. I thank you.
Thank you so much for that message, Isabel. We would have loved to have you with us, but there are certain things which we can't help. But that was a very powerful and positive message, and we thank you for that. Now we have a small, very interesting break in the program. You don't need to leave the room. Something very interesting at many levels. We thought, let's break this up a bit and bring to you something which is culturally something which will give us a lot to really, really admire. We have with us a wonderful lady, a young lady by the name of Rashmi Suresh Pel. Rashmi Pel is a multi-talented girl with profound deafness. She's a national level Bharatanatyam dancer who has done more than 60 stage shows across India. Apart from owning 2 businesses, she's a certified yoga instructor, art teacher, makeup artist, and aspiring model, besides being a winner of different titles in 4 pageant shows. Recognized globally as the world's best hearing-impaired Bharatanatyam dancer by Google, Rashmi's achievements extend to entrepreneurship awards, modeling for Tribes India, and interviews on international and national platforms. Her perseverance and versatility shine, breaking barriers and inspiring everyone. I know all of you will join me in encouraging and supporting and welcoming Rashmi Suresh Pel.
Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha
गणनायकाय गणदैवताय गणाध्यक्षाय धीमहि गुणशरीराय गुणमण्डिताय गुणेशानाय धीमहि गुणातीताय गुणाधीशाय गुणप्रविष्टाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशानाय भालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि गानचतुराय गानप्राणाय गानान्तरात्मने गानोत्सुकाय गानमत्ताय गानोत्सुकमनसे पूजिताय गुरुदैवताय गुरुकुलस्थायिने गुरुविक्रमाय गुह्यप्रवराय गुरवे गुणगुरवे क्षेत्रे गुरुधर्मसकाराध्याय गुरुपुत्र परित्रात्रे गुरुपुत्र गीतसाराय गीततत्त्वाय गीतगोत्राय धीमहि गूढगुल्पाय गन्धमस्ताय गोजयप्रदाय धीमहि गुणातीताय गुणाधीशाय गुणप्रविष्टाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशानाय भालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि जटाटवीकलज्जल प्रवाह पावितस्थले कलेवलम्ब्यलम्बितां भुजङ्गमालिकां अवट्टमट्टमट्टमन्निनादवट्टमर्वयं चकार चण्डताण्डवं तनोतु नः शिव शिवं जटाकटाह सम्भ्रम भ्रमन्निलिम्प निर्झरी विलोल वीचि वल्लरी विराजमान मूर्धनि ठगज्ज्वलल्ललाटमट्टमावते కిశోర చంద్రశేఖరే రతి ప్రతిక్షణం జటాభుజంగ పింగళ స్ఫురత్సనామణి ప్రభా కదంబ కుంకుమ ద్రవ ప్రలిప్త దిగ్వతు ముఖే మదాంద సింధుర స్ఫురత్వకుత్పదీయ మేధురే మనో వినోదమద్భుతం బిభర్తు భూత భర్తరి ఓం నమః శివాయ సదా శివం భజామ్యహం సదా శివం భజామ్యహం ఓం నమః శివాయ ఫుల్ నీల పంకజ ప్రపంచ కాళిమ ప్రభావలంబి కంఠ కందలి రుచి ప్రబద్ధ గంధరం స్మరచ్చిదం పురచ్చిదం భవచ్చిదం మఖచ్చిదం గజచ్చిదాంధకచ్చిదం తమంతకచ్చిదం భజే అఖర్వ సర్వ మంగళ కళాకదంబ మంజరి రస ప్రవాహ మాధురి విజృంభణా మధువ్రతం స్మరాంతకం పురాంతకం భవాంతకం మఖాంతకం గజాంతకాంతకాంతకం తమంతకాంతకం భజే ఇదం నిత్యమేవ ముక్తముత్తమోత్తమోత్తమం పఠన్ స్మరన్ బ్రువన్నరో విశుద్ధిమేతి సంగతం హరే గురం సుభక్తిమాశు యాతి నాన్యథా గతిం విమోహనం హి దేహినాం సుశంకరస్య విమోహనం హి దేహినాం సుశంకరస్య విమోహనం హి దేహినాం సుశంకరస్య చింతనో
That was Rashmi Patel, everybody. Don't you think she deserves a standing ovation? Seriously? So Rashmi and so many others like her keep reminding us that disability is only in the mind. And I think, she can make us proud any day for sure. Thank you so much. It was a wonderful performance. Thank you. Now we move to the third value. We've had the responsible value and the inclusive value. Now is the time for the sustainable value to be released. And to do that, we have with us the Director, Nehru Science Center, our knowledge partner, and a partner who's really with us throughout this RISE Summit, Dr. Umesh Kumar Rustagi. But to introduce him, we have another stalwart in our midst, none other than Paula Mariwala. Paula is on our board of advisors. She's the MD of Seed Fund Advisors, a venture capital firm. A physicist by training, Paula has been a technologist, businesswoman, investor, mentor, and philanthropist. She has been an active early stage investor for the past 15 years and looks for innovative companies which create impact. She's passionate about education, gender equality, entrepreneurship, and using technology for creating sustainable solutions which can improve the quality of life of people. Paula, may I invite you on stage to do the honors.
Good evening. It's a pleasure, especially coming after such an enthralling performance, to introduce Dr. Umesh Kumar Rastogi, the director of this beautiful venue, really an oasis in the middle of Mumbai's chaos. And what fantastic work that has been going on for education, for science communication, for all the past so many decades. I remember as a student of St. Xavier's College, the physics department, we had actually come to design some of their exhibits many decades ago. I shall not reveal how many years ago, but he has really been at the forefront of really taking this forward, a wonderful initiative. He is, of course, been in science communication through designing and managing working as exhibits, designing informative panels, and just taking the mandate of this wonderful center forward. In addition to that, he has curated several extensive educational programs for popularizing science and creating scientific temper amongst people, which again, like Harish Bhai mentioned, we need to have people who believe in scientific thinking, design thinking, and we have to really take this forward with our students, with our children, and great role being played by people like Dr. Rastogi, who has also delivered several popular science lectures, set up science centers, innovation hubs, and various scientific innovative activities. Originally from Haryana, Dr. Rastogi has held positions of project coordinator, Regional Science City, Lucknow, and also as head education cell with additional sections of electrical and civil under the Nehru Science Center, Mumbai. And we look forward to him inaugurating this sustainable value at this wonderful, wonderful venue. And thank you for being our partner.
Good evening. First of all, let me extend a very warm welcome, being one of the partner for this RISE World Summit on behalf of Nehru Science Center. I'm really pleased to welcome you all to this place. I don't know how many of you have been to this place earlier when I was interacting. I think many of them during their school days or college days, they have visited this place. But my request will be now also you can visit, because we are in non-formal education. Age is not a factor when you visit this place. Having said that, let me first congratulate all the organizers, volunteers, and the team members of 11th edition of RISE World Summit. On behalf of Nehru Science Center, Mumbai, and my parent organization, which is called National Council of Science Museum, and popularly we call it as NCSM. You might have heard at some place. I would like to express my sincere thanks for this association and partnership. Let me briefly introduce you all about Nehru Science Center and National Council of Science Museums. We are one of the largest network of science center in the world, administrating 26 science centers across India under one administrative umbrella, which is called National Council of Science Museums. It's part of Ministry of Culture, Government of India, and it's a autonomous scientific organization. The main objective of the organization is science popularization, particularly among students and masters in general, especially focusing on non-science experts or non-science groups with their background who have nothing to do with science, you can say. So we just try to approach them and try to create scientific temperament and enhancing public understanding of science, or appreciation rather, as well. Because once they know about science, perhaps they will appreciate more, and that's the very much required in current scenario. The mission for National Council of Science Museum has been so far quite successful. Impact is also quite encouraging, I should say. I'm not saying on my own also, but we have done some data collection and found that yes, we have been doing some good work and have been able to transform in society. I can cite one small example that earlier when solar eclipse or lunar eclipse used to happen, people used to be in their houses. But now with our mission, with many like-minded organizations, right at 3 a.m., 2 a.m., people are thronging science centers and our places, coming in large numbers irrespective of time. And so that shows that we have been able to transform thinking process, you can say. Coming back to the theme, where I'm really glad to and proud, rather, I feel honored to release this S for sustainability, one of the value of RISE at this opening plenary session of this World Summit. Friends, we are 8 billions already on this earth, out of which 1.4 are in India alone, 1.4 billion. It's our responsibility, in fact, concern also, to provide all our people with food, clothes, shelter, which are obviously the basic needs for human beings. We also need to provide them with water, energy, education, healthcare, infrastructures, which are also part of sustainable development goals, so that they can live happily and with comfort. For this, development is inevitable. We cannot stop it. But it is also true that the current way of our development, we are going to write our own extinction, probably sooner than expected, which is certainly a bad thing. I hope all of you might have come through a very popular video on WhatsApp and Facebook where a dinosaur comes to the UN Assembly and says, it's very bad thing. At least dinosaur had an asteroid to blame for their extinction. We do not have anyone. Through our activities, we have raised deep concerns for our own survival. We need to change our habits and create values towards sustainability. In fact, this was mooted in 1972 itself in the book titled Limits to Growth. This stated that without substantial change, of course, in resources, food, per capita, population, industrial output, the most probable result will be a sudden and uncontrolled decline in population and in industrial production. In order to address all these concerns, we need disruptive science for innovation and sustainable development. This based on mantra, you can say, discover, disruptive, and development. Because Einstein said once, we cannot solve the problems using same set of parameters which have created them. So we need to think out of the box. Hence, disruptive technology is the need of hour. We need to address the problems and concerns of climate change, global warming, rising sea level, frequent devastating cyclones and floods. We need to limit the increase in temperature of Earth to 1.5 degrees centigrade, else our monsoon pattern may shift significantly, which is part of Agenda 2030, which recently, I think, in one of the presentation we have seen. This is our international commitment also. By 2030, water demand will be double, while by 2050, food demand will go up by 70% and energy demand will grow by 90%. For this all, the answer is sustainability science. This is the new paradigm. Sustainability science is basically an emerging field of research dealing with the interaction between natural and social systems and with how these interactions affect the change of sustainability, meeting the needs of present and future generations while substantially reducing poverty and conserving the planet's life support system. That's what sustainability is all about. I'm glad to mention here that if we observe carefully, the last few years, those who are connected with, say, you can say science, even the Nobel Prizes are given for the works which are directly connected or indirectly connected with social, sustainability sciences. This happened in 2018, 2020, 2021. This is a good trend. Friends, without science, we risk making decisions in the dark. The 21st century is the century for sustainable development by practicing sustainability science. I am happy to add here that in almost all science centers in our programs, we address, I was just going through all 70 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, and I'm happy to say that in our programs, directly, indirectly, we are touching all of them. So I think we are at right place by having the partnership with this. We have interactive exhibition, immersive exhibitions, shows, programs, lectures, and several other extension education programs, which involves immersive experience as well as value-based experiential education. With this, I conclude my remark. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rustagi. It was amazing how you brought out the relevance of science in the whole issue of sustainability. And wonderful to know what Nehru Science Center has been doing. Like you said, it's a, well, I don't want to talk about my age, but definitely the Nehru Center, Nehru Planetarium, the whole, the precinct has been a very, very important part of our lives. And as you said, sustainability is the key for the survival of the planet. So thank you so much for highlighting those issues. Now we move to the final value. All of this is great, but unless you have an ecosystem that supports you, you just can't make things work. So to release the final value, the E value, the ecosystems friendly value, we have with us Ms. Priya Patil. I will leave it to Ms. Ashu Thakur to actually introduce Priya, who is an amazingly inspiring person. But I would like to also introduce Ashu while she comes up on stage. Ashu Thakur is an advocate and solicitor at the Supreme Court of England and Wales. She has 20 years of experience and exposure in corporate, commercial, foreign direct investment, M&A, joint ventures, real estate, and litigation across sectors. She's a recipient of 2 prestigious international scholarships, the British Chevening Scholarship for Young Indian Lawyers 2000, awarded to outstanding emerging leaders by the UK's Foreign and Commonwealth Office, and the Lions International Scholarship 1991, awarded by the Centre Culturel de Lyon Club de France for strengthening and promoting international ties. That's the extent of the French I know, and I'm sure I made a mess of it. Ashu was recently awarded the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Women Entrepreneurs Award 2020 in partnership with the IIM Bangalore. She founded her own boutique corporate and commercial firm, Ashu Thakur and Associates, in 2009. She was awarded the International Achievers Award 2018 for legal services at the 12th International Achievers Summit at Dubai, UAE. She holds several important positions in numerous national and international bodies promoting commerce and industry and promoting legal support services to the sector. Please put your hands together to welcome Ashu Thakur, who will be introducing Priya Patil.
Hi, it gives me pleasure to introduce Priya Patil, a social activist. Priya Hemant Patil is a trailblazing advocate for inclusivity, equal rights, and a powerful voice for the transgender community. With proficiency in English, Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati, and Bengali, Priya is a dynamic individual with an impressive range of talents and accomplishments. Priya holds a paraprofessional social work basic course and a counseling course and a diploma in social work from Nirmala Niketan College, Mumbai. Priya has been recognized globally, receiving the Icon of Courage Award from the US Council in 2017, the Indira Gandhi Janma Shatabdi Puraskar in 2017, and the Nari Shakti Puraskar in 2018. Her commitment to community service also earned her the Rising Star of Community Award and the Proud to be Tobacco Free Award in 2018. Priya has actively worked towards the inclusion of the transgender community in initiatives like the Swachh Bharat Mission and the Plastic Mukt Mumbai project. She champions equal rights, easy accessibility of fundamental and constitutional rights, and the mainstreaming of the transgender community in society. She currently serves as a program manager at Kinnar Ma Trust, Mumbai, and holds key positions in the Maharashtra State Nashabandi Mandal and Mission Mahila Muktya Mantri 2019. As a lecturer on LGBT issues at Nirmala Niketan College, Churchgate, she continues to contribute significantly to education and awareness. In 2017, Priya made history by being the first transgender individual to contest the BMC Corporation elections in Maharashtra, showcasing her commitment to breaking barriers and creating a more inclusive political landscape. Priya Hemant Patel's story is one of resilience, determination, and advocacy, and we are honored to have her amongst us as our esteemed plenary speaker, sharing her insights and experiences towards a more inclusive and equitable future. Thank you.
invite Priya ji to kindly unveil the E value, the ecosystems friendly value. Ms. Patil, I'd like to hear from you.
सबसे पहले सभी को नमस्ते और सभी को मकर संक्रांति की बहुत बहुत शुभकामना। आज जिस वैल्यू को मैंने ओपन किया है एक्चुअली, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि कहीं ना कहीं इस सिस्टम की मैं बहुत अहम हिस्सा रही हूँ, रही नहीं हूँ तो हूँ, बट ये लोग नहीं मानते हैं, तो दैट इज एक्चुअली थिंग फॉर मी। बट मुझे लगता है कि कहीं ना कहीं जो पहले 3 वैल्यूज हमने ओपन किए हैं, उन 3 वैल्यूज का अगर हम अपने अंदर इम्प्लीमेंट कर पाए या उससे खुद से शुरुआत कर पाए तो शायद चौथे वैल्यू का हम आई थिंक जस्टिफाई कर पाएंगे। मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मैं सिर्फ एक ट्रांसजेंडर कम्युनिटी की मेंबर करके मेरे तरफ अलग से देखना या अलग से कुछ अचीवमेंट्स की हुई इसलिए उस तरीके से ऑब्जर्व करना तो थोड़ा सा कभी कभी जरा वियर्ड लगता है। बिकॉज जिस सिस्टम की मैं हिस्सा हूँ और जिस सिस्टम को मैं समझती हूँ कि मैं इस देश की नागरिक हूँ, तो इस देश की नागरिक होने के नाते मुझे लगता है कि कहीं ना कहीं जैसे सभी यहाँ पे इक्वली स्टैंड करते हैं, वैसे ही शायद मुझे भी इक्वली स्टैंड करने का पूरा हक है। और शायद उसी तरीके से उसी इक्वालिटी और उसी नजरिए से मेरे तरफ और मेरे जैसे बाकी लोगों की तरफ देखना बहुत जरूरी है। इस इकोसिस्टम के बारे में जब मैं सोचती हूँ या जब भी मतलब जब मेरी पहले कैरन और दीपाली से बात हुई थी, तो तभी भी मैंने एक चीज कही थी, क्या सच में हम इकोसिस्टम फ्रेंडली है अभी भी? क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं अगर हम वैल्यूज की बात करते हैं तो बहुत सारे वैल्यूज को हम रोज अपने अंदर लेके चलते हैं और उसको जस्टिफाई करने की कोशिश करते हैं, बट क्या सच में हम उसको जस्टिफाई कर पाते हैं? ये सबसे बड़ा सवाल होता है। वैसे ही ट्रांसजेंडर एक सबसे बड़ा सवाल आज तक लोगों के मन में है कि ट्रांसजेंडर्स कैसे होते हैं, उनको वो किस तरीके से पैदा होते हैं, उधर से लेके उनके बाकी के आज तक की जिंदगी में क्या होता है, उधर से ये सब सवाल शुरू होते हैं। और ऑब्वियसली है, बिकॉज हम अगर देखेंगे कि राम राज्य से चला हुआ आया इतिहास, जिस इतिहास के अंदर हम अस्तित्व देखते हैं ट्रांसजेंडर्स का, लेकिन वो बीच के पीरियड में कहीं दिखाई नहीं देता। इसका एक कारण रहा है कि जब ब्रिटिशर्स हमारे इंडिया में आए थे और उन्होंने कुछ समूहों को अलग कर दिया था, उन समूहों में हम भी थे, और उसकी वजह से जो हिस्ट्री मुगल काल में रही, उससे पहले भी रही, तो वो हिस्ट्री आगे लोगों की तरफ जा नहीं पाई और शायद उसी की वजह से आज हम इस सिस्टम से बहुत अलग रह गए। और इसी वजह से जब इंडिपेंडेंट हम हुए इन 47 से लेकर आज तक 76 ईयर्स हो गए हैं, लेकिन हम फिर भी सिस्टम से अलग हैं। वो उसी वजह से हुआ है क्योंकि हिस्ट्री में हमारे अस्तित्व के बारे में कभी बात ही नहीं हुई, और वो बहुत बड़ी खेद की बात मैं समझती हूँ आज तक। और ना ही किसी ने अभी तक उसके बारे में कोई रिसर्च करने का सोचा। शायद वो अगर रिसर्च होती या उस तरीके के कुछ चीजें हमारे पास होती तो शायद हमें इतना सरवाइव आज की तारीख में नहीं करना पड़ता। आज की जो ये कम्युनिटी है, आज की जो जनरेशन है, शायद कहीं ना कहीं बहुत प्रो हो गई है। प्रो इसलिए बोलती हूँ क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं मतलब मैं अभी 2 महीने पहले यूएस में थी फॉर माई सम ट्रेनिंग्स विद द यूएस गवर्नमेंट। तो यूएस गवर्नमेंट के साथ जब मैं पॉलिसीज को डिस्कस करना और बाकी LGBTQI पॉलिसीज को समझना, इन सब चीज़ों के बारे में जब मैं जानकारी ले रही थी, तो कुछ चीज़ें मालूम पड़ी मुझे कि कहीं ना कहीं शायद डिवर्सिटी हो या फिर कल्चर हो या और भी चीज़ें हो, शायद मेरा देश है। तो कितना भी अगर मैं गुणगान गा लूं बाहर के देशों में पॉलिसीज बहुत प्रो है या बाकी सब चीजें हैं, बट फिर भी मेरा देश क्योंकि इस देश में शायद मैं सुरक्षित महसूस करती हूँ। इस देश में मैं अपने आप को समझती हूँ कि मैं बहुत बड़े कल्चर का हिस्सा रही हूँ और कल्चर का हिस्सा हूँ। तो मेरा जो अस्तित्व है शायद आज छुपा हुआ है, लेकिन उस अस्तित्व को शायद जस्टिफाई करने में मैं और मेरे जैसे बहुत सारे लोग जो लीडरशिप इम्प्रूव कर रहे हैं खुद की, तो वो आगे जाके इन सब चीज़ों को और भी न्याय दे पाए और आगे की जो जनरेशन आएगी वो उसको और ज़्यादा हद तक शायद इम्प्लीमेंट करने में सफल रहे। दूसरी चीज ये भी मैंने देखी, जैसे सर ने कहा कि स्नेक चार्मर्स करके हमारे इंडियन लोगों को देखा जाता है। जब मैं मेयर हाउस में गई थी यूएसए में, तो लिटरली वहां पे एक तस्वीर लगी है बहुत बड़ी, जो उस तस्वीर में वो तस्वीर थी मेयर हाउस में जहाँ मीटिंग था हमारा उनके मीटिंग हॉल में। वहां पे सच में वो स्नेक को वो जो रहता है उसको दिखाया गया है उस तस्वीर में। बहुत सी पानी भरने वाली महिलाएं दिखाई गई है, बहुत सी। तो इस तरीके से अपने देश को बाहर देखा जाता, बिकॉज कहीं ना कहीं हम इंटरनेशनली नेशनली बहुत सारी चीजों के बारे में बात करते हैं, हमारे ग्रो के बारे में बात करते हैं, बट पर्सनालिटी डेवलपमेंट के बारे में कोई बात नहीं करता। बिकॉज हम कितने भी बड़े क्यों ना हो जाए या कितने भी हम अपने आप को एजुकेटेड ही क्यों ना कर ले, बहुत सारी चीजों में हम कितना भी इम्प्रूव क्यों ना कर ले अपने आप को, लेकिन जब तक हम अपना हमारी पर्सनालिटी को डेवलप नहीं कर सकते तब तक हम शायद कहीं ना कहीं लोगों के नजरों में उतना दिख नहीं पाएंगे। तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि शायद कहीं ना कहीं अगर हम सोचते हैं कि हमें चेंज लाना है दुनिया में या बाहर की दुनिया में या अपनी कम्युनिटी में, तो कहीं ना कहीं खुद से शुरुआत करने की जरूरत है। तो जब तक हम खुद को नहीं बदलेंगे हम चीजों को या दूसरों को नहीं बदल सकते। तो शायद वो शुरुआत हमें अपने आप से करने की जरूरत है। मैं ये इसलिए कहती हूँ क्योंकि मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि लोगों के बीच में जब मेरे जैसे लोग जाते हैं तो लोगों को ऐसा लगता है अरे ये तो एग्रेसिव है, ये तो ताली बजाते हैं, ये तो इसी तरीके से, ये तो भीख मांगते हैं। लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं जब मैं अपने आप को आज इस स्टेज पर हूँ, ऐसे बहुत सारे स्टेज इससे पहले शेयर कर चुकी हूँ, तो मुझे लगता है वो बदलाव शायद मैंने अपने आप में लाने की कोशिश की थी कुछ सालों पहले। शायद उसी की वजह से आज मैं आपके सबके सामने यहाँ खड़ी हूँ। तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि वो बदलाव हमारे खुद की तरफ से होना जरूरी है। वो एकदम से तो नहीं होगा, बिकॉज ट्रांसजेंडर्स को इतने एजुकेटेड और वो सब चीजों में इतना वो नहीं है, लेकिन फिर भी मैं एक कोशिश अपने आप से की हूँ, तो जरूर कम्युनिटी से भी उसकी शुरुआत कर चुकी हूँ। तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि पर्सनली पर्सनालिटी डेवलपमेंट इज मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट फॉर द पीपल। संविधान के वैल्यूज के बारे में हम जब बात करते हैं, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के बारे में हम जब बात करते हैं, क्या हम सच में कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल वैल्यूज को उतनी हद तक निभा पा रहे हैं? ये सवाल मेरा इधर सभी से नहीं तो बाहर भी सभी से है। क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं हम समता, न्याय, बंधुता, इन सब चीजों के बारे में बात करते हैं, लेकिन क्या सच में समता और समानता हमें इस देश में दिखाई देती है? क्योंकि जहाँ फर्स्ट क्लास और सेकंड क्लास ट्रेन में ही हम खुद को दूसरी अलग अलग उसमें डाल देते हैं, वहीं पे खत्म हो जाती है समता और समानता। शायद मुझे ऐसा लगता है ब्रिज के नीचे जब सोते हैं लोग, रास्ते पर सोने वाले लोग हो या रास्ते पे भीख मांगने वाले लोग हो, तो कहीं ना कहीं उनके इम्प्रूवमेंट के बारे में या उनके स्टेटस के बारे में वो स्टेटस हम मैच कर पा रहे, तो कहाँ है समानता? शायद उसी समानता को लाने के लिए हमें इस वैल्यू को आगे लेके जाना बहुत जरूरी है। और मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जिस देश में मैं रहती हूँ, जिस देश की मैं नागरिक हूँ, जिस भारत को मैं महान कहती हूँ, क्योंकि जिन संघर्षों से लड़कर हम इधर तक खड़े हुए हैं और जिन्होंने हमें ये स्वतंत्रता दिलाई है, उन्होंने जो संघर्ष किया है, उस संघर्ष को अगर जस्टिफाई करना है तो कहीं ना कहीं हमें इन वैल्यूज को, अपने कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को या अपने बाकी और भी चीजों को बहुत ज्यादा इम्प्रूव करने की जरूरत है। तो सिर्फ हम बात नहीं करेंगे तो प्रैक्टिकली भी इन वैल्यूज को अपने अंदर लाने की कोशिश करेंगे। और मैं सिर्फ ट्रांसजेंडर करके मैं सिर्फ ट्रांसजेंडर्स के लिए सिंपैथी की बात नहीं करूंगी, तो वहां पे एम्पैथी भी उतनी ही होना जरूरी है, क्योंकि वी डोंट वांट एनी सहानुभूति, बिकॉज क्या होता है ना कि कभी कभी बहुत सारी जगहों पे लोग इस नजर से देखते हैं ना कि मुझे ऐसे लगने लगता है बाप रे, मैं कितनी शायद लाचार हूँ, बट मैं उतनी लाचार नहीं हूँ। मुझे अपने हक के बारे में, मैं अपने हकों के बारे में, मैं अपनी अपनी जिंदगी के बारे में, अपने फैसलों के बारे में बहुत जागरूक हूँ, और मेरे जैसे काफी लोग जागरूक हैं, और हम जागरूक भी कर रहे हैं, ना कि सिर्फ हमारी कम्युनिटी को, तो बाहर की कम्युनिटी को भी। और शायद इसीलिए इंटरनेशनली, नेशनली हम ग्लोबली काम कर पा रहे हैं। तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि हम लाचार नहीं हैं, और उस लाचारी की नजर से हमें देखिए भी नहीं। तो वो एम्पैथी अपने अंदर, क्योंकि वो एम्पैथी भी वैल्यू है, तो उस वैल्यू को भी हमें लाना जरूरी है, और शायद तभी हम इकोसिस्टम फ्रेंडली के बारे में बात कर पाएंगे। तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि कहीं ना कहीं टाइम की भी बहुत कमी है, बोलने जैसा तो बहुत कुछ है, बट आखिर में मैं सिर्फ इतना ही कहना चाहूंगी कि ट्रांसजेंडर्स को जानने के लिए, उनकी जिंदगी को जानने के लिए उनके अंदर झांकना बहुत जरूरी है, और वो झांकने के लिए सिर्फ कम्युनिकेशन जरूरी है। हम जब 1 रुपया 2 रुपया वो मांगते हैं और हम उनको देते हैं, तो कभी उनको हाथ पकड़ के आपने पूछने की कोशिश की है कि बाबा आप कहाँ रहते हो, कैसे रहते हो, या उनका जो ट्रस्ट है वो गेन करने की कोशिश की? शायद वो कर पाओगे ना, तो आप ट्रांसजेंडर्स के बारे में बहुत कुछ जान पाओगे। और वो अग्रेसिव इसलिए होते हैं शायद कभी कभी, जो आज तक समाज ने उनको दिया है, जो तिरस्कार दिया है, या जो जो भी स्टिग्मा या जो भी भेदभाव उनके साथ आज तक किया है, शायद उसकी वजह से वो कनेक्ट नहीं कर पाते हैं लोगों से। इसीलिए शायद वो कम्युनिकेशन और बहुत ज़रूरी है, और उस कम्युनिकेशन गैप को जब हम फुलफिल करेंगे, शायद मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मेरी कम्युनिटी को मुझे अलग से रिप्रेजेंट करने की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ेगी। तो एज अ पार्ट ऑफ दिस इंडियाज सिटीजन, मैं अपने आप को देख पाऊंगी। तो शायद मैं यही उम्मीद करूंगी कि यहाँ से जाने के बाद आप में से बहुत से लोग इन चीजों को बाकी और लोगों में उतनी ही हद तक समझा पाए जिस हद तक मैं आपको समझा पाई हूँ। तो शायद कहीं ना कहीं कम्युनिटी को जस्टिस मिल पाए, तो और उसी से हम शायद इकोसिस्टम फ्रेंडली की तरफ बढ़ पाए। तो थैंक यू वेरी मच अगेन कि कैरन को और दीपाली को खास करके कि उन्होंने ये अपॉर्चुनिटी दी, और थैंक्स टू एवरीवन कि उन्होंने मुझे सुना। थैंक यू।
प्रिया जी, अगर वक्त होता तो हम शायद पूरी शाम यहीं बैठते आपको सुनते हुए। ने जिस देश में ट्रांसजेंडर्स को पूजा जाता था, और जहां उनको अभी लड़ना पड़ता है कि समाज का एक अहम हिस्सा आप है, वही लोगों को समझाने में ये शर्म की बात है। लेकिन ऐसे ही सिस्टम से, ऐसे ही माहौल से ये इकोसिस्टम फ्रेंडली बनेगा, ये हमारी आशा है, हमारा वचन है कि ऐसा होगा। और आप जैसे लीडर्स अगर हो तो 100% होगा। It's truly inspiring. And I think one thing she said is, we don't want your sympathy, we want your empathy. I think that's so critical. And I think if you want to create that ecosystems friendly value and bring it to life, Priya ji and people of her kind and so many others who are live on the fringe of our society need to be brought into the mainstream, because only together can we save this planet. We cannot leave out anybody when we are doing this. With that, we have released our 4 values: responsible, inclusive, sustainable, and ecosystems friendly. And very interestingly, I mean, well, when we are talking about this, how do you actually get action on the ground? You know, these are great, values are great, these philosophies are great, you can say theories are great, lectures are great, but you need something, you need some kind of a guidance to do things on the ground, right? And for that, luckily, we have tons of people who are working on various toolkits. With us today in the audience are Mr. Anand Pendharkar and Rahul Palekar, who have come out with this Climate Actioneers Primer, a beginner's toolkit, a climate action series book, which actually takes you through all the various aspects that you need to know about climate change and what is it that each one of us as individuals and organizations can do about it. And they would like to, is Anand out here? Anand is here, of course. So may I invite Anand to come on stage, and Rahul Palekar as well? Yes. And they would like to present this to our speakers today. So we have Mr. Oh, it's already been given. I'm so sorry. Someone should inform me, right? Anyway, I just saw it here. But thank you so much for this. And there are a couple lying out here, I guess, after this, if anybody wants to go through this. Yeah, we'll keep it out. So I don't, you should have got more copies, I think. No, but yeah, but you can definitely have a look at this. Yep. Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for this. Well, time has come to release another toolkit. This is called the Koru toolkit. And today, Karon Shaiva is actually a walking, talking, what can I say, advertisement for Koru, and she'll tell you more about it. But the Koru toolbox is a compendium of models, frameworks, and processes that have been used by Idobro since it was founded 14 years ago. Idobro itself is a systems-based model as described in the toolbox. And we trust that it will be of great value to any organization, be it government, industry, civil society, and or academia. Now we're going to have the launch of the Koru toolbox, so the toolkit, and for which I would like to definitely invite Karon Shaiva on stage. But to release this, we're going to invite a whole lot of our dignitaries to come up on stage with us. May I first call upon Mrs. Sven Ostberg, Consul General of Sweden in Mumbai, if you could please come on stage. Mr. Harish Mehta, Dr. Umesh Rustagi, Priya Patilji, Dr. Walter Vieira, Paula Mariwala, Ashu Thakur. We have Rajesh Shaiva with us, Dev Bhattacharya. Do we have Sarabjit Singh Sahota? He's not coming yet. And Yusuf Kabir, if he's still with us. Yusuf is not here. So Karon, would you like to this? And I will join you as well.
Very sustainable, so I will not take it back in.
Thank you.
Dev, if I may ask you to, okay, yeah, no, he's gonna, no, it's okay. I'll call you back up. Got you. Sorry. So, as usual, Naresh has to say something about me. So walking, talking is because of what I'm wearing. The Koru, more importantly, okay, is this motif from New Zealand by the Maori tribe that talks about peace, prosperity, growth, new beginnings. Yeah. And in Hawaiian, it really means because it's got this beautiful two coils where the outer coil is really talking about perpetual movement, constant growth, constantly doing something. But the inner one is kind of like a human navel that talks about going back to your beginnings. So it's, I think, a very, very beautiful in that sense, analogy to what we talk about systems thinking and value creation, right? And that is really the reason we've used Koru as the name for the toolkit. And yes, and therefore I'm wearing that as well. But over to you, Naresh.
Thank you, Ms. Koru. Sorry. I mean, I think you're close enough. Karon, Koron, I mean, whatever. Karon always comes up with something very interesting, but I think what is really important is this toolkit, because I think that's a lot of great work put into it. Very, very useful tool. And this, along with the climate toolkit, I think today there's something very positive that people can, and in the physical that people can take back with them. Now, to tell us a little bit more about this Koru toolkit, I would like to call on stage again Mr. Dev Bhattacharya. Dev Bhattacharya is the business head, solar business and new business ventures of the Aditya Birla Group. Mr. Bhattacharya joined the Aditya Birla Group in 1996 as Vice President, Corporate Strategy and Business Development. He has over 28 years of experience encompassing manufacturing, finance, software, and media industries, and has had successful stints as an entrepreneur, management consultant, and media producer during his career. Mr. Bhattacharya has earned a Bachelor of Technology degree in Mechanical Engineering from NIT Rourkela and a postgraduate degree in Industrial Engineering from NITI, Mumbai. Dave, please welcome on stage. He's been a huge supporter of RISE for several years now, and it's a pleasure to have him with us today.
Thank you. I will not be able to give you expert views on the toolkit, but what I'll give you is the business perspective of what I understood when I spoke to Karon and she explained to me what this toolkit is and how it's evolved over the years. And interestingly, when you talked about Koru and I read about it in your document, it talks about the navel and the energy inside the navel as the Polynesian tribe. The Maoris actually had this in their mythology or in their beliefs. And it's very similar to what in our culture we understand as Kundalini. And that's also interestingly, it's a coil of energy, the base of our spine, the Muladhara chakra, as you all know. And this is to do with the primordial energy, Shakti, and the conception of life as it should be. So interesting that you thought of this word, and it has, it's a very, very deep cultural meaning and sense. So, like I said, it's been a result of several years of effort by Karon and the corporations or the agencies she has worked with and her team's effort. So I tried to understand the essence of what she was trying to do and the set of models and toolkits that she's developed, and how does it, what is new in this? What is it that she's come out as an incisive insight? And what is incisive? Why do I believe it is incisive? You just have to look at how industry perceives things like sustainability and CSR. So all of us do. We are mandated to do it. We do CSR. In Aditya Birla Group, we spend 1,000+ crores every year in CSR. We spend a lot of money in sustainability. But does it enter the strategic framework of discussions in the business? When we are doing the annual planning or 3-year planning, do we discuss CSR? Yes, we do a little bit of sustainability, but is it the mainstream discussion? It isn't. Why is it not? It does not directly contribute to shareholders' wealth. It does not directly contribute to your profitability. It does not directly contribute to your growth, right? So it's all good to hear, but there are 4 things that it does, right? First thing is, it is a statutory requirement, getting more and more stringent now. The second is, it gives branding points. Thirdly, it has a very good feel-good element, right? And the 4th thing is, it benefits some sections of society. So put together, this is a good combination of things. It works. It's useful to have. You have a team that works on it. And whenever required, I can showcase it with a couple of slides and say, we're doing these things. Great. Good work. So we all agree. And so therefore, in our quarterly presentations or our planning and budgeting presentations, it occupies 2 slides at the end of the 75-slide deck. And usually by the time we reach there, the time is over, and please read it for your reference. We've done some good work. That's how it ends. So I'm saying now that, after Glasgow and Sharm el-Sheikh, we know that your time is very limited in terms of what you can do to get your act together on all these fronts, on sustainability, on affluence, on your net zero programs and targets. You don't have time. I can assure you, I mean, it's not that we have a large number of corporates here, but ultimately, if people get to see this, I'm giving you 2 years to get your act together. By 2025, the laws and regulations will be so stringent, 90% of big corporates will scramble to meet basic requirements and targets. Forget about achieving or exceeding them. They'll struggle to achieve them. And that's how tight it'll become. So it is no more a feel-good thing. It is not going to be a mandate. It will be an absolute necessity. So this is from a corporate point of view. We don't really talk about it. We don't know how tough it's going to be and really how important should it be now in our discussions. Will somebody take a step to say, I think this is the first point of the agenda, not the last point. And I think this is what we want to do. How many chairmen of large corporations are going to put their foot down and say, this is the first part of the agenda? Let's discuss that first. We will wait and see. But Karon is not approaching this from this mandate, this, forcible acceptance of this as an agenda. What she's saying is, this is an opportunity for you. And this will turn your story around to an innovative, expanding the pie, as it were, to find solutions that are much better and bigger than what you thought of. Just think of these things individually. Just think of the points that emerge as a result of inclusion, as a result of looking at the whole ecosystem as a integrated, inclusive, working for each other kind of an ecosystem, instead of an ecosystem that strives to maximize for parts of the ecosystem. Like a procurer as a large corporate, how inclusive is my procurement? Take, for instance, recruitment. Take, for instance, using services. How many of us have made an effort to go into rural areas to look at organic recruitment, organic procurement, looking at developing support centers in rural areas amongst retired employees who have gone back to, their small towns and villages, women who have given up their corporate careers and gone out and become part of a homemaking system. There are LGBTQ people who are extremely capable. I remember a study in University of Toronto, I remember when I was in Canada, said that there are studies which says that transgenders are not only physically stronger than the average male or female, they're more intelligent than the average male or female. Did you know about a study like this? I didn't know that. And this I when I was in Canada in 2005, 6, 7. And it was very interesting. They said that we are trying to get more and more inclusive recruitment out of the transgender community in far-flung areas in Canada, simply because it's an ignored community and a community that is likely to be far more, on an average, productive than our standard, urban communities. Anyway, so I will not go further into this. I'm just saying that if you were to look at, and it's become like pretty high on my agenda, okay? And what is high on my agenda? That the core toolkit is opening my eyes to the present and the future, when sustainability is not just nice to have, it is an imperative. It is imperative because it not only lends to new competitive edge. I've just written down this, so I want to read it out right. Not only leads to a new competitive edge by understanding your entire ecosystem holistically, but also opens up avenues for constructing new and innovative partnerships. And this, I think, is eminently possible, and we must absolutely look at it. Otherwise, we'll be forced to look at it anyway. And why scramble? Why not just plan for it? and listen to this whole concept and see if it works for us. And for working for it, we will have to give appropriate weightage to all the agencies and ecosystem elements which we have so far ignored and kept on the side. Bring them in, bring them into the conversation, bring them into the mainstream strategic discussion. And I think there is an innovative solution which we have not thought of, is waiting for us to be discovered. Thank you very much, and all the very best to your Koru Toolkit.
Thank you, Dave, for putting the entire Koru toolkit into perspective. I mean, like you said, there are so many such works, such innovative works produced with by so many intelligent people, with so many man-hours put in. And then what happens after that? I think you brought a fantastic point about how do we take this ahead, and how important and how urgent it is for us to take it ahead right now. And the world is not going to wait for us. Saving the world is imperative. We have a message from somebody who's been a big supporter of RISE, and especially someone who stood by Karon and the entire team as they worked on the Koru toolkit. We have a message from Ms. Cheryl Kaiser, the Executive Director, the Lewis Institute and Babson Social Innovation Lab, Babson Park in Massachusetts, United States. It is my pleasure to just read a small profile. Cheryl has a long-standing reputation as a positive disruptor and lives by the mantra, find a way to say yes. She has an uncanny ability to connect people, resources, and ideas in a way that catalyzes change. Through these connections, Cheryl has co-created transformational experiences for Babson, partners, and communities. Cheryl has developed immersive learning experiences for Babson students, creating unique opportunities for students to work at a strategic level on real-world social impact challenges, and allowing organizations to benefit from fresh entrepreneurial thinking, from our MBA elective on creating social value to the social innovation inventorship program. Besides this, she has actually created countless other courses which have been literally path-breaking in the whole idea of innovation and social impact. She's also co-designed and continues to lead the first executive certificate under Babson's Blank School called Entrepreneurial Leadership in the Social Sector. A global leader in corporate social responsibility, CSR, and social innovation, Cheryl is the author of Creating Social Value, a guide for leaders and change makers, and authored a chapter in the book about Babson's educational practice, Evolving Entrepreneurial Education, Innovation in the Classroom. She has directly influenced the strategy, operations, and mindsets of dozens of Fortune 500 companies, global NGOs, community organizations, and academic institutions. Prior to coming to Babson, Cheryl spent 13 years as the managing director of the Boston College Center for Corporate Citizenship, a global membership organization of Fortune 1000 companies, responding to the changing role of business and society. Under her leadership, she created the largest global convening for CSR practitioners and leaders. Cheryl actively serves on several boards, such as the BASE in Roxbury and Wild Hearts National Advisory Board. This and many other achievements to her credit. Cheryl has been a constant at RISE summits over the last few years. And today she sent us a special message to support the unveiling of the Koru toolkit. May we have the video, please?
Hello, I'm Cheryl Kaiser, the Executive Director of the Institute for Social Innovation at Babson College. And it's a real honor for me just to say a few words before your convening, or possibly during your convening, whenever you see this particular recording. But really what I wanted to express is that I have been in this space of corporate social responsibility, sustainability, social impact for over 25 years. And about 12 years ago, I had the honor of meeting Karon and the Idobro group. And I have been observing, I've been a thought partner with Karon for years, and I've really seen how they've evolved a system into a toolkit and a mindset into a toolkit, which is a great service to all of us who realize that now more than ever, we really do need to collaborate, the public, the private, the social sectors, in order to solve and address the biggest challenges of our time. And while we're having a moment in time where corporate social responsibility and ESG and sustainability and social impact, all these terms are getting convoluted because depending on who defines them, I believe that the new toolkit that you're going to hear a lot about, the Karu toolkit, is really exceptional. I've actually watched its evolution over the last 10 to 12 years, and I believe it's brilliant. I've said this to the team before, that the way they've designed it, they've conceived it, how they've included people, is really the best of showing people how a systems approach is the most powerful approach to be able to collaborate, partner to create economic and social value simultaneously. And that's really the point, whether you're a for-profit organization, not-for-profit, government, NGO, intermediary organization, we all have to work together. The boundaries are blurred, and now is the time. And this toolkit is a beautiful way to accelerate and have these kinds of collaborations happen. I know that Idobro talks a lot about incremental change, moving all the way to transformational change, but this toolkit allows anybody who wants to use it to start where they are, because it really is a systems approach. And so I just wanted to really be here at your convening to let you know that I'm excited to use it with companies that we're working with. And it really is, if you take the time to understand it and look at it and also realize that the name Karu really is about system. It really is about evolution, in the sense that it is a Hawaiian word, and the meaning is coil or loop, and the shape does spiral, and you're constantly spiraling from the nascent sort of beginning to impacting peace and prosperity around the world. That is how I see the symbol. But again, I'm really excited. I'm enormously proud. And I hope that as you learn about the Karu Toolkit, you'll understand that if we all could start entering and using it, I believe all of what we've been looking to do, whatever sector we're in, if we can collaborate, look at a systems approach, and really use the entrepreneurial mindset to be able to move forward, the world will be a better place, and we will create economic and social value simultaneously. Thank you, and I wish you all well and peace.
Thank you, Cheryl, for those very encouraging words. If you are tuned in, from Koru to Kundalini, as Dave pointed out, and it just goes to prove that the world really is just one big family. We talk about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Maybe that's in many, many more ways than we even give it credit for. So this is what RISE is all about, right? Bringing nearly 7,000 and counting people and thought leaders from across the world, from 70 countries together over a week of interaction and sharing of ideas and thoughts. So this is what this brings us to the end, the very last part of this evening's program. And I would like to tell you what is in store for you if you haven't gone through the information that's been provided already. So starting tomorrow, right from the 16th of January through the 20th, we will have nearly more than 100 sessions, which will be online, offline, hybrid, through these 5 days, starting at 9 in the morning, going all the way to 10 p.m. at night, with people joining in from all parts of the world. Now, this time, we know that RISE all these years has been primarily focused on SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, and it's no different this time. However, for ease of convenience, ease of maybe kind of linkages, we have divided it this time into very specific groups. For example, tomorrow will be sessions related to systems thinking. We heard a lot about that today. So tomorrow will be systems thinking. The day after tomorrow, Wednesday, will be on the Sustainable Development Goals specifically. So looking at all those Sustainable Development Goals, lots of sessions, chat sessions, roundtables, fireside chats, etc. The third day will be corporate social responsibility, focusing on CSR. The fourth day is environmental and social governance, ESG. And finally, on the 20th, will be the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Day, the DEI Day, when there'll be a lot of sessions talking about inclusion and diversity. And of course, finally, ending with the closing plenary. So 5 days, you have an opportunity to really listen to and interact with some of the biggest thought leaders in each of these areas, make those connections, and then get into action, because that's what it's all about. Toolkits, you've got everything now at your disposal. Talking about a toolkit, in fact, Anand was kind enough to let me know that the climate change, toolkit, which was displayed a little while ago, it's available for free to be downloaded on www.sproutsllp.com. So you can order a physical copy. Of course, that I think will be at a charge, but that's free as well. Oh, that's wonderful. Or you can just download an online copy, Be a Sustainable, www.sproutsllp.com. Yeah. So so you have toolkits at your disposal. And now, before I end this day today, I need to, there's an example of how RISE actually works and how the RISE values work. So today, what you saw today, what this 2 hours that we've had, or 1.5 hours that we spent together, is actually the structure we call forum. We have an exchange of ideas coming in through discussions, to talks, to workshops, etc. And that's what you find a lot of. So this is where we have the exchange of knowledge happening. So what we are doing today and what we'll be doing for the next 5 days, tons of roundtables, chats, workshops. The next one is the vertical we call Fest, where you experience RISE in creative ways. And you will find a number of items on the platform, the RISE platform, where you'll actually be experienced in music and art and so many creative ways in which RISE actually shows itself. Now, today itself, and I must ask all of you to try this as you move out. Many of you have experienced it while you came in. There is the Pathways of Life installation outside, wherein actually you can map your own life as to where you stand through the RISE values as of now. You can see the linkages that's possible through responsible, inclusive, sustainable, ecosystem friendly. It's right out there in the foyer. And finally, there are the structure we call tours, where we actually the exploration of the RISE values. So introduction to various aspects of the world, celebrating the uniqueness and beauty of our planet, celebrating successes and innovations, you have amazing places, amazing innovations, amazing inventions, discoveries, which will show up through videos and through all kinds of tools available as a tour segment. And one live demonstration today is the revolutionary water harvesting plant set up in Parli in Maharashtra, in the Beed district of Maharashtra, by Mayank Gandhi and the Global Vikas Trust. So the Global Vikas Trust team is here, and they've set up the model of the water harvesting plant, which has been revolutionary. The Parli model has been replicated in 4,000 villages of Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. And this is something we have got out here for you to show. So I thank Mayank and the Global Vikas Trust for that. Please spend some time with them. And yes, of course, we're not going to end without high tea. Okay, so that's something I definitely want you to not go away from. There is wonderful high tea, which has been organized by Nehru Science Center and the team. So this, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to an end of the opening plenary of the 11th RISE Summit. But this is, like I said, just the beginning. This is the beginning for you to start having those breakthrough conversations, make those breakthrough connects, and create breakthrough collaboration in saving our planet. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.